I tried to rewrite The Rise of Skywalker. I really did. The more I thought about it, the more it felt almost impossible. It just started to bring me down. All I can think about when I look at this movie is all the work Disney put in to appease its loud, angry fans. Taking apart everything The Last Jedi built, shoving fan service down our throats in the shapes of Palpatine, Reylo, and the sidelining of their characters of color. Seriously, Rose is a glorified extra in this. It just really doesn't sit well with me. So for this video, I'm not actually doing it. Instead, I'm going to work from something I prefer and think would have had a much better outcome on screen. The leaked script for Duel of the Fates, written by Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly, the one they were working on when Trevorrow was fired as director of Episode 9, it's not a perfect script either, but I think it's a better foundation to build this on. So if you don't know about it, I'm quickly going to sum up that script, then go into what I want to change in it. I'm Greg, and here's my version of Duel of the Fates. Let's do this. The film takes place some years after The Last Jedi, with the First Order now taking control of most of the galaxy. Our heroes are now acting similar to a terrorist group. We see them sneaking into a migrant camp to free people there. Rose, Finn, Poe, and BB-8 all working as a cohesive team, doing their best. Sadly, the First Order has gotten wise to their tactics, and they only get away because they're saved by Rey, who's now more trained and seriously kicking some ass. At this point, the First Order are ruling with an iron fist. They even publicly execute an enemy soldier early in the script. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren is searching for a way to become more powerful. This brings him to find an old holocron with a message from Palpatine to Darth Vader, giving him the instructions needed to find an old dark side master. Kylo follows the instructions, learning how to drain the life force out of other creatures, and has his own Darth Vader fight sequence in a cave. Also, he's haunted by Luke's ghost, and that's pretty cool. Meanwhile, Rey has been training, learning from Ghost Luke, but she still questions if it's enough, and if the battle between light and dark will ever actually end. Also, at one point, she fights the Knights of Ren, who are actually important and imposing in this, something I found very lacking from the actual trilogy. Finn and Rose go to Coruscant, so they can use a transmitter in the old Jedi Temple to send a rallying message across the universe. Also, Finn shows empathy to a scared stormtrooper, and then gets to lead an army of defective stormtroopers in the final battle, paying off his story arc from the first two films, where he chooses not to serve, then learns what's really worth fighting for, and finally helping save the day. In the end, the Resistance is joined by allies from all over space, including Lando, who swoop in to help Finn's ground forces take over the First Order stronghold. While that's happening, Rey and Kylo fight each other, climaxing Kylo's death, ending his family's line, bringing the Skywalker saga to a close. Poetic, right? I really like what's going on here, but I still have some work I'd like to do on it, so let's dig into that. I assume you've noticed, but I didn't mention Poe in the summary. That's because he doesn't do much in the script. They turn him into a love interest for Rey, so he travels with her for a bit, bringing her to a Force-sensitive Oracle-type character for guidance. Then she uses Jedi mind tricks on him, so he'll leave her for his protection when the Knights of Ren attack them. I prefer if he did something a little more substantial, especially because I don't like suddenly making him and Rey become like an item. It's kind of lame to me, so I'm gonna give him some of what Leia has written for her in the script, specifically traveling from planet to planet, trying to recruit help for the Resistance. He's learned to trust others in The Last Jedi, so it makes sense that he would be doing that. Plus, it'd be cool to have a scene between him and Lando to replace the very touching one he has with Leia in the script. I think Oscar Isaac and Billy D. Williams would have really good chemistry, so why not play with that? And this change leads us straight to... This really is the hardest part. The script was written before Carrie Fisher's death, and Leia plays a major role in it, and it's a role as the person who unites the people against the First Order. I already mentioned giving Poe her job in the script, trying to recruit more fighters, so with that being done, I need to do something with her. Something without much speaking, because JJ did his best to try to stick together dialogue scenes with her from past movies for Rise of Skywalker, but it doesn't really work at all. Not wanting to cut her from the movie completely, I want to have her be captured by the First Order. New Republic soldiers do get captured in the script, so I'll add Leia to that. We set her up in a cell, have some different First Order characters trying to extract information, all met with a stoic silence. They even send in one of those droids, like the one Vader uses on her in A New Hope.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
Unlike in that movie, this time they get nothing from her. A cool throwback moment to show her growth. Then right before the climactic battle sequence, the First Order bring her out in front of a huge crowd to be executed like the character at the beginning, but they don't get to. In front of everyone, Leia grins, closes her eyes, then goes full Obi-Wan and vanishes. That leads to my final point for her. In the duel between Kylo and Rey, Luke and Leia, reunited as Force ghosts, appear to Kylo, trying to sway him. Speaking of Kylo Ren searching for more power is really cool. It shows that he really just wants to be the best and prove everyone else wrong, like the whiny man he is. My changes are mostly for personal reasons. There's a part where he melts a new mask right onto his face to cover up where a holocron explodes on him. Let's just cut that completely. Next, I want to address the Sith Lord Tor Valum, who trains him to drain the life out of living creatures. This needs some tweaks. In the script, he's the master who trained Palpatine, but this breaks the rule of two, where there are only ever two Sith, a master and an apprentice. Instead, let's make Tor Valum some kind of dark side force-sensitive creature that predates Sith and Jedi, something monstrous but weak, keeping itself alive by draining the life forms on its planet. That's why Tor Valum can't fight back when Kylo turns on him and life drains him to death. Finally, let's double down on the amount of time he's haunted by Ghost Luke. We can do it once at the beginning of the movie, once with Luke trying to stop him from using the powers Tor Valum has been teaching him, and one scene in the climax, like I said, where Luke and Leia reach out to him, convincing him to return Rey's life energy to her, letting him sacrifice himself for her survival. All my rewrites have dropped the Who is Rey's family mystery box nonsense, so this is pretty obvious. No need for Kylo to give her the big reveal telling her her last name, but I would like to keep in that she discovers that Kylo killed her family. Him knowing that there would be people out there who would sire someone who would bring an end to the Force as he knows it makes sense for him to kill them as a way to preserve his way of life. And I think that's fun. I mean, if Harry Potter can build their entire series on this premise, we can do it for one part of one movie. I also want to hang on to one idea from The Rise of Skywalker, where she can use Force lightning without even trying, not because she's a Palpatine, but because she is the balance. The gray between the black and white. Her journey will teach that, like we learned in The Last Jedi, we have to move forward, not back, to make progress. The Jedi and Sith have had their time, and now it's time for something new. The Oracle that I had mentioned earlier will help her discover all of that. Since I took away Poe as her escort in this, let's team her up with Billy Lord's character Connix, another minor character that we can amp up in these rewrites. Do we make her a love interest for Rey like Poe was? Why not? Disney can't stop me in this hypothetical movie. There's a part in the script where Rose is captured and tortured like Poe was in A New Hope, and I'm cutting that. Not to give Rose less to do, but to make it so we aren't torturing half of the female characters in this movie. Instead, when she and Finn are separated after sending out the beacon, she goes to work on freeing the Resistance fighters that have been captured. Her plan works, and she frees them just as Leia vanishes. Another thing I'm interested in is more of the stormtrooper Finn lets go. They have their initial scene, and then he returns at the end, having named himself Rafe, with the stormtrooper army to follow Finn into battle. We can just give him one more scene in the middle, interacting with Captain Phasma, who I've never killed off in my versions, using this scene to echo Finn in The Force Awakens. Just an easy scene where Captain Phasma is talking about her plans to defeat Rey and the traitor, and then we linger on the stormtrooper that we'll realize is Rafe, and you can tell that he'll be thinking on her words, hesitating, knowing what Finn told him. Over all these rewrites, I've kept Captain Phasma alive, combining her role with Hux to make a more interesting character. It really pays off here. So in the script, Hux has a display case with a lightsaber mounted on his wall, and has a few moments where he tries to use the Force. So my change here is having Captain Phasma training to fight with a lightsaber and blaster together, thinking it will give her the edge in combat. Like with Hux in the script, when Phasma sees the First Order has fallen, she's going to kill herself with the saber. So that wraps up my changes to the script and to the sequel trilogy as a whole. It's been really fun working on this, trying to improve what we were given. I'm open to suggestions for other movies I can try to work on putting together better versions of, so reach out if you have any. Anyways, I have a few movies to watch for my next video, so let's wrap it up. Have a good one.